I think awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining, friends. It's looking like we're having a smaller group, but we are still going to record today's session. That way you can get back to it and take a look at like what we're covering today, but then also for the opportunity to share with our teammates who are not able to make it today. So again, thanks for being here for our first, our kickoff for the 23-24 academic year for our support specialist professional development series. And we thought it would be a great, especially coming from like feedback from our team after last semester, just in terms of like workshops that you all have enjoyed. And that's worked out really well. We definitely thought it would be a great way to kick off the year with sort of like a mindfulness reset and sort of thinking about goals and just like what we're heading into for the academic year. So we brought back a crowd favorite, Lolo Fisher, to lead today's session. Well, part one is today, and then part two would be following up next week. So I am going to turn things over to our wonderful host today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cheryl. I'm definitely seeing some new faces and names, so this is exciting. I didn't know how much of the group to expect of like seeing faces from, I want to say last year, but it was just earlier this year. It's crazy how fast that time goes. But welcome, y'all. I know we might be on different time zones, so we will definitely have a quick moment for introductions and just a little check-in. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. All right. Okay, so for our mindful reset today, I really like to encourage us all to think about how we're blending the personal and professional. So while today's session may be a lot of conversations about just how we deepen our mindfulness ourselves and then set those intentions and goals from that place, this will relate to both your personal and professional life. So I just kind of want to give you that heads up that as we are in this space, it is a space I want you to feel free to process as you need, because for some folks that is processing out loud, talking through it, and for others that might be I just need some reflection time, I want to write things down. Sometimes it's helpful to have a pen or notebook handy so that you can just jot some notes down as things come. So with that, let's go through our agenda real quick. I see more folks popping in, so welcome. We'll start off with introductions in a moment. We'll set the tone with some breath. Those who have been to my sessions before know I love breath work, so we'll do one breathing technique that we've done in the past session. So maybe one revisit, I'll say, and then two newer ones. And then work on releasing expectations. I'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like, because usually we're setting expectations or describing it with a supervisor, supervisee. But in this case, we're actually going to work on releasing them today so that we can set intentions from a more mindful place, hence the reset. We'll have some conversation, and at that point, we will pause the recording so that we can share a bit more openly. And then we'll finish with a guided meditation and some resources that will follow the session as well. So about me, I like to share my little blurb because I'm going to challenge y'all to create a little blurb as well as part of our introductions. So my name is Lolo Fisher. It's Lorene technically, but Lolo's a little easier for folks to remember, but easier for folks to say. So you can call me Lolo. And for me, on the work side, I help individuals heal and organizations to foster a culture of care. Hence why I keep talking about that professional and personal coming together right from the start. So for me, that comes from that core belief that we don't live our lives compartmentalized, even though we often try to compartmentalize things for our sanity, for our nervous system, whatever that looks like. So as we intermingle our personal and professional daily lives, we want to work on harnessing our strengths from a holistic perspective, because then we can come together stronger, we can make more of an impact and come from a healthy place in terms of making that impact, especially when it comes to working with students who we don't know what happens before they walk into our office in their own lives. And sometimes we can easily absorb a lot of that energy. Same thing with colleagues, even working with colleagues, we can absorb other people's energy, characteristics, personalities. It's a lot to hold on to. So in today's session, I kind of want to get a little bit to that why. So hence our introductions today. I would love to know your name, especially for those that I haven't met yet. And I want you to ask yourself, This is not something I expect you to say out loud. Why are you really here today? Why did you come to this session? Just from the simplest perspective. Did you say, hey, there's an opportunity. I love personal growth. I'm going to click on this. Is it, I think I'm expected to be there by my supervisor? Is it, I just had a break, so why not? I want you to really ask yourself, why are you here today? Why are you here? And take that moment. Once you have, we'll kind of go around the room to say your name, where you're tuning in from. So I won't say where you're from because sometimes we're all in different spots, but where you're tuning in from, what campus, and then what do you believe mindfulness could do for you right now in this season? So the why are you really here today is a question just for yourself. This second question is one I would love for you to share. Why do you believe, or what do you believe, excuse me, mindfulness can do for you today or in this season? So I'm going to take out of my screen sharing so that I could see your beautiful faces. Hello. And we had a few more folks join. Awesome. So name, where you're tuning in from, what might mindfulness be able to do for you today, or what are you hoping that it can do for you? If anyone would like to start, you can go for it. And if anybody cannot speak audibly today, you're welcome to pop it in the chat as well.
I'll start before someone takes my answer. My name's Patricia Reynaga. I work out of East Los Angeles College. And I think it's important because it's the start of a semester for, I think, all of us. So I think mindfulness and setting goals right now would be a great time for that.
Awesome. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
I can go. Hey, everybody, Cheryl Martinez with Growth Sector. And I think that there's just so much going on between Growth Sector and our programming and all the campuses that we're working with that sometimes things can get so busy and so crazy that what I hope to get from this session is being able to just like stop and just like being able to look at everything and like take the stress / craziness out of it and just being able to like look at everything from like a calming perspective.
I like that. A pause, a stop. We need that.
I'll chime in too. My name is Myra Perez, and I am with Growth Sector over here in Southern California, Orange County. I'm here today because having been to Lolo's previous sessions, I always leave with a sense of calm and just like peace. So I love that. I'm all here for it. So that is why I am here.
My name is Kate Yance, and I am in Aurora, Colorado at the Community College of Aurora, and I am new to the position. I started about 3.5 weeks ago, and my first thought was, I don't have time to attend this. I've worked really long days and very overwhelmed, but I thought, you know what? That's why I do need to attend this.
Great reason. Love it.
Angelique answered in the chat, so I can just read it for her. Angelique is a support specialist at Palomar College in Southern California, and noted I'll need to be off my camera at the moment, but I am trying to be mindful so I can sustain my joy, energy, and health throughout the year. Snaps to that, Angelique.
I can jump in real quick. I'm Gabe with Growth Sector. Nice to see everybody. And I think for me, I'm hoping to get a little more mindfulness in like decision making. So not feeling overwhelming stress, but just in everyday decisions. And Lorraine, thanks for coming back. It's great to see you.
You as well. And absolutely, it's on the list today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rebecca Mora Baldwin. I'm tuning in from San Francisco. And I guess for me, I've been bouncing around a lot of the Bay Area campuses. So just trying not to burn out and like sustain the momentum and the energy that like keeps me going to be like fully present in the spaces. So looking forward to the session today. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Candace Craig, and I'm a student support specialist here at Devo Technical University in Crown Point, New Mexico. And I'm here because it's always good to see all your faces and to get positive. I get positive energy from this, and it makes me feel good just to be part of a group that's so nice and happy. And this makes me feel good. So good morning, everybody.
Hey, good morning. I like that. AJ, I'm not sure.
I'll noted that he's going to be listening in, but not able to
Okay.
participate.
No problem. Glad you're here. Glad you're here still. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. Just double checking. Did I miss anybody? Going once, going twice. Okay.
I think we got everybody.
Let's bring it back. I really appreciate all your answers because it's not just about what we do. And as you all know, you're coming from different campuses, and while the work may be similar, you all experience such different things in your day-to-day, whether it's working with students, working with other staff, faculty, potentially. And with those challenges comes, how do you manage your own mindfulness, your burnout, your joy, all those things. So I'm glad to hear that we have some commonalities and like, hey, we just want to share positive energy today. Maybe we're trying to avoid the burnout and start that earlier. Hence, why we're doing this session earlier in the fall and not when it comes to winter time, right? We want to try to start off from a mindful place so that we can really integrate these techniques and practices throughout the whole semester and academic year. So we're getting right into it. I have 3 very practical breathing techniques for you today. These are things that you can do, at home, in your office, in the car, wherever you like. So the very first one, this is the one that I was saying, if anybody's had my session before, you have likely done this one with me. But for stress relief, one of the breathing techniques is just a deep sigh, or what we like to call the breath. So we're going to start with that one, and then we'll get into 2 more for focus and for energy. So I'll talk about what it is first before we try it all together. This one I really like for stress relief because it integrates your breath itself, but also a little bit of body movement. So if you've ever just had a lot of tension or tightness in your shoulders, your neck when you're stressed, I should say, I'll speak for myself. When I'm stressed, that's exactly where I feel it, all in my neck, my traps, my shoulders, this area right here. I tense up. So this one helps us to release some of that tension in the body through our breath as well. So we would inhale through our nose, and I'm going to go ahead and count it out once we try it together, but we're going to go ahead and try to inhale for 5 counts, nice and slow, as much through the nose as possible. If you need to take a little breath through the mouth or have some congestion going on, of course, you can breathe through the mouth as well. It's just going to be a little harder, but we would breathe through the nose for 5. And as we do that, we're rising our shoulders to our earlobes as if we're wearing our shoulders like earrings. And then the big deep sigh part is literally releasing the body and the breath all at once with a sigh, an audible sigh as much as possible. We all might be tuning in from different spaces, so this is also a great conversation starter. If you're just taking some deep breaths at your desk and someone's like, why are they breathing out like that? And you're like, hey, you should try it. This is for stress relief. But of course, if it's something that you're in a space where you don't want to have an audible breath, you can also do a slower exhale rather than the big sigh of releasing the shoulders and the breath aloud. You can just do the shoulder release and release it slowly through the nose as well. And that would be more a normal sounding breath. Greater impact would come from that release of the audible sound as well. So we're going to try this together, but again, we're just inhaling for a count of 5 through the nose and rising the shoulders as we do. And then big sigh to release as fast or slow as you want with that audible. You can just let it go like you're truly letting out a sigh. So here we go. We're going to try 3 in a row. Starting with an exhale, let the breath out so we can start fresh. And together we'll inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Big sigh. Let it go. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Release shoulders and breath. Let it go. Good. Last one, inhaling. Let it all go, shoulders and breath. And once you do a few of those, I always recommend at least 3 to 5 of them. You can just kind of roll out the shoulders, release the neck, see if there's any tight spots that may have just come about. I'm going to call you out for a second because I think this is a perfect example. Gabe, I just saw you yawn. I love that. I love that you just yawned after this breathing because it really just shows us what we need, right? When we pause, and as Cheryl had mentioned, when we stop, we pause, we actually take that moment. Sometimes we just don't even check in with our body. So it'll tell us. We take that moment to breathe, a yawn comes out. Hey, we're probably a little tired. We take that moment to breathe and start feeling some tightness in our neck. Hey, we might be holding on to some tension. So just notice what your body tells you, especially after any kind of breathing technique that's related to stress relief. So great job with this one. I see the chat open. I love getting props for yawning. I love it. I will always give you props for yawning. I'm that one. I love it. You came to the right session. All right, so now that we kind of released some of that stress in terms of that breathing technique, our next one is for focus. We've done this one before as well, but maybe just a little different. So we're going to do our box breathing technique, or the more scientific term for it is intermittent breath retention. So this is about how do you hold your breath and release your breath. The reason this is so helpful for focus and concentration is because it actually activates our memory. So the change and shift of whatever you're focusing on in your day-to-day and turning it to, I'm counting for a certain period of time, I'm holding my breath, and that takes intention and focus to do, it actually rewires our brain and helps us to focus to a different place. So no, it's not necessarily like meditation where you'd be focusing on a specific concept or focusing on the breath overall, and then everything just kind of clears out of the mind space. This one's more, I'm focusing on a specific thing. So I always like doing this one with educators because it really helps in how you pass this along to students as well. If they have any test anxiety, this is a great one to do right before testing, or just presenting. Even if folks have fears of public speaking, box breathing is a great one. So how do we do it? If you actually picture a little box, we're just going to trace up, side, down, and side. As we trace up the box, we are inhaling, especially intent on inhaling through the nose. Again, if there's like any congestion challenges, do your best, and you can breathe through the mouth if you need to, but the more we can breathe through the nose, the more we start engaging our diaphragm, and that's a deeper place of breathing that'll help us. So we'll breathe through the nose for a count of 4, and then we will just sustain that. So I like saying sustain now because I used to say hold your breath, but when we hold our breath, a lot of times I see this, and then it looks like everybody's about to pass out, or like they just dove underwater and they're trying to stay underwater, and that's not the case. We just want to sustain. So it's more a matter of, once you inhale and have breath in the body, just leave it there. Leave that breath. It might feel like it's floating in the head. Maybe it's in the throat. If you take a really deep breath, you might feel it in the belly or chest space. We just want to hold it there for 4 counts as we trace the top of that box. And then we let it go, exhaling slowly for 4 counts. And same idea, once that air is out of the body, we sustain it. Sustain that feeling of not actively breathing for 4 counts. So tracing the box, we inhale, we sustain, we exhale, we sustain. So we're going to go ahead and do that box breathing 3 times. Again, just like the stress relief one, we did 3 sets of it. We'll do 3 sets of this one and see how our body reacts. This is ideally for focus or concentration, but it also helps with some stress relief too. So it's kind of that tangent one. 4 counts each way. So let's start with an exhale to let it go. And together we inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Sustain it. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling. 4, 3, 2, 1. Sustain no breath. 3, 2. Here's set 2. We inhale through the nose. Sustain. Exhale, nose or mouth. 3, 2, 1. Sustain it. Here's your last set. Inhaling. 3, 2, 1. Sustain it. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling. 4, 3, 2, 1. Sustaining. 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and find that natural breath. Notice what your body does, how it reacts after doing some of that box breathing. This one's always interesting to me because I feel like the whole room gets a little quieter usually when we do this in person. So even virtually, you might notice a sense of more stillness across the group and just seeing that relaxed moment of the body as well. So we released the stress in the first technique. Second technique brought us some focus and concentration. This last one is actually an energy booster, and we call it clown breathing. And yeah, it is kind of like it sounds. You might feel like a clown for a second, but there's definitely reasons for it. So the first one we did, the deep sigh or the breathing, integrated our body. For energy, the clown breathing, it integrates our face. So we are using our facial muscles to kind of activate our sensory techniques. So in addition to your breathing, we're going to smile and blow a balloon. That's the idea. So as you inhale, when you take that big inhale through the nose, you just let a big grin come to your face. As if you could imagine that painted red mouth of a clown, like you are trying to create that clown smile. It's not about being a cute smile or ready for your picture. It's as big of a grin as you can. And then when you exhale, it's like you're blowing a balloon. So you're going to purse the lips as if you were blowing right into that balloon, create that beautiful balloon animal, whatever it might be. So we're going to do 3 of these as well. We're going to go ahead and do it as a 5 count. And the challenge of this one is usually taking that whole 5 counts to blow through the balloon. With the pursed lips, it creates a smaller opening for us to release. So we really want to take our time in how we blow into that balloon. So don't do it all at once. See if you can blow into the balloon slowly to lengthen your exhale. So again, we're going to inhale for a count of 5 as we put that big grin on our face, looking cheesy as everything. And then blow into the balloon nice and slow, 5 counts each. Here we go. It's our last one. Let's start with an exhale. Let it go. And together we inhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blow into the balloon. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 2 more. Inhale, grin. Exhale, balloon. Last one. Inhaling 5, 4, big smiles, 3, 2, and 1. Exhaling, balloon. 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, shake it off, loosen up your face muscles. All that mouth might feel a little weird after doing the grins and smiles. This is one that, and I'm sure some of y'all have known this because I believe maybe our very first session, somebody brought this up, that if you put the pencil in your mouth to kind of force yourself to grin when you're like not feeling it so much, the forced grin almost starts creating natural reactions of releasing those endorphins and the happy chemicals, right? To start telling ourselves like, no, we actually want to smile. Same idea for this one, building energy and positivity. You may not want to do this one like in the middle of a meeting unless everybody's on board, because it might feel a little weird for everybody to have that big clown smile on, but it really does work in rewiring our brain for positive energy. So overall, it's just this last piece that I want y'all to remember. Being intentional and taking these mindful moments to practice slow and deep breathing, it slows your heart rate. It allows more oxygen to enter your blood. And ultimately, it just tells your brain to relax. It tells your brain that it's okay. Or if you're doing the ones for focus or energy, it kind of tells us what that intention is. So as we work on setting intentions today, which is going to be kind of that main portion of our session, I want you to think about how you can set the intentions from that place of mindful breathing. So if it ever feels like too much, your mind starts getting overwhelmed, you're not sure where to go, just pause, take a deep breath, whatever breath works for you. Maybe it's just a regular breath. Let it go so that you can start back fresh. So before I keep going, are there any questions, thoughts, responses on breathing techniques, or anything I can help you answer for today on these breathing techniques? Okay. I see some more folks joined too. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Awesome. Familiar face. Yay. All righty, let's keep going then. Please feel free to use the chat as much as you want to as we go. I love interactive sessions. Okay, so this next piece is about releasing expectations, which I gave you a little insight on as we went through the agenda. But the point here is we want to release unnecessary expectations. Expectations can be really helpful. Knowing what your supervisor expects of you, knowing what your family expects of you, so that you can work towards certain things, towards meeting minimums, and then set your own goals to go expand beyond that for your own professional growth. But a lot of times we put expectations on ourselves that may not always be realistic or helpful for our lives. So my first question to you today in relation to expectations is, what expectations have you put on yourself that may be unnecessary, impractical, or inconsiderate of your lived experience and needs? I will give an example. Cheryl and Myra know this, but right now I just hit the 9-month mark. I am 9 months pregnant, and I have still been trying oftentimes to expect myself to work just as much, to do things at home just as much as I would have in month 1 or 2 of my pregnancy. And that doesn't really make sense from my lived experience and needs. Sure, it may serve others well in that perspective, but that expectation isn't coming from other people. It's an expectation I put on myself. So to be really specific, because I'm going to challenge you all to get specific with yourselves, maybe that's, I wake up really early in the morning to get a head start on my day, and I'm probably the last one to go to bed. And I expect that because I want to get as many productive things as I can done in my day. In reality, my body's not going to respond well to that. That does not reflect my lived experience or needs in this season. So it's impractical and it's unnecessary. That's an expectation I can change on myself to say, you know what, I'm still going to get up earlier because I know that's my best workflow time, and I'll get what I can done in that most productive time for me. But I'm not going to be expecting myself to stay up late. When I'm tired, and I'm going to go to bed, whatever that is. So the expectation of productivity might still be there, like use the best time of day to be productive for myself. But the change would be, I'm not expecting that of myself 24 hours all day long, or I'm just adding in something that allows for my health care needs. This is something that I really like challenging folks on when it comes to burnout. If you even see little bits of burnout coming your way, a lot of times it's because we're carrying unnecessary expectations that we're holding ourselves to, especially if you identify as a perfectionist. I know this is going to resonate in some ways. Perfection is not a reality. Perfection isn't a real thing. We create our terms of perfection, and we all have different definitions of what perfect is. So what does it look like to redefine perfect, or to allow ourselves to be imperfect as we're working towards our goals, and whatever that looks like? And that leads us to our second question here. If you're able to identify, just as I gave an example, some of those unnecessary expectations in your life, and then compare them to the current reality. So for me, unnecessary expectation to be on and productive 24/7. Current reality, my body needs rest. These are the two. What lies in the gray space was my response of be productive in the morning, second half of the day, just listen to my body and what it needs. Right? So that gives me a more realistic next step of what I can do. Set my alarm early, and then set an alarm for when I start allowing myself more grace. That maybe I'm on, maybe I'm off, whatever that looks like. So I'm going to give you a second because I really want you to take a moment to at least think of one example in your life of what might be an impractical, unnecessary experience or expectation you're holding yourself to. And this could be very simple. This could be in the workspace. This could be in the home space. It doesn't really matter where, because like I said, our personal and professionals impact each other. So if you're expecting something of yourself when you're not at work, that's not making sense right now, or vice versa at work, that's maybe even impacting your personal life, this is a great time to identify it. And we'll go ahead, we'll actually share this in a smaller way. So don't be afraid to just take a moment to write down what your honest truth is, and then I'll reframe the question so that you might feel more comfortable sharing with one another. So with that, I'm going to play like 2 minutes of some light music for you to reflect a little bit. I'll leave this slide up so that you can see everything. If you have questions, just let me know. Taking another minute. Myra just let me know that y'all can't actually hear my music from there. So I'm just letting you know you have 1 more minute before we keep going. Alrighty, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. As you wrap up your thought, if you are writing anything down, We're going to kind of bring this together. So I am not asking for everybody's answer at the moment, because I know this one can be a little personal in terms of challenging those expectations on ourselves. But I would love some examples. So let's actually start with the chat. So once we release those unnecessary expectations, thank you for adding that recording back. Once we release those unnecessary expectations, that takes us into a place that we can actually set our intentions. So I love alliteration. So we're going to go ahead and take this as the 3 C's of categorize, clarity, and a conscious reframe. So as we're setting intentions, the first thing I encourage folks to do is categorize. Sometimes we want to set intentions, like if you've ever taken a yoga class, they'll say set your intention for the start of practice, and you just try to think of one thing that encompasses all the stuff that you're going to do. That works for some people. Maybe your intention is joy. Just in everything I do today, I want to have joy. But what does that look like in your workspace versus your home space versus when you go take a second to be alone and you're just with your own thoughts? It may challenge you a bit more to have just one single intention. So we've talked about this a little bit already. Work and life interplay. So what we're doing in our professional life and how we respond oftentimes is from thought patterns that we've had and we've built over time in and out of our workspaces. So paraphrasing kind of what's written up here on the screen, to assist with your holistic growth, you can start categorizing those intentions. If you've ever heard of the 8 dimensions of wellness, or sometimes folks refer to 9 or 10, there's been a lot of new diagrams recently too. But just thinking of the dimensions of wellness, you have your professional wellness, you have your mental health, your physical health, financial health, and all these different categories of health and well-being. This is a great place that you can start, because you can easily say, in the health space, maybe I want to give more attention to my mental health and make it a priority in my life. And then on the financial side, it may be something completely opposite. I want to release scarcity mindset and attract more abundance, which means I'm not thinking about money and finances 24/7. And maybe that mental health challenge for you and financial challenge and how you want to grow, maybe they butt heads, maybe they work together. This is where categorizing can help as you start setting your intentions. And then we're able to bring it into clarity. If you are able to categorize and say, in all these different categories, here's my individual intentions, you may start noticing similarities and differences. Maybe your mental health, physical health, and your professional goals all align with, I just want to be happier. What might align here that we can set a very clear intention to bring those together? And then if there's another side of like, I am sensing a lot of negativity, or I haven't grown in these 2 areas, maybe there's a different intention for these 2. So you'll end up with 10 to start, and then you'll pull it down into 3 or 4 intentions that feel better for your day-to-day living, things that you can remind yourself of, rather than just a single one that you're trying to meet every single category in your life. So that's my first recommendation, is categorize and then start finding that clarity. With the clarity, please remember, you can draft this as many times as you need, and you can change it as many times as you need. That's the other thing with our last slide and reflection on unnecessary expectations, is oftentimes we set intentions, we set goals, and then we become inflexible about them. I have to do everything I can to meet that goal. So even though circumstances may be changing, external factors are affecting us, we're still so focused on that end goal that we're not always willing to change the path to get there. And the goal can be the same. If it works for you, if it's still needed, sure. But we have to be adaptable and flexible in the path to get to that goal. It's not always a step-by-step linear process. We all know this. Sometimes we just need that reminder and give ourselves the grace and allowance to change the path a little bit. So as you find clarity amidst those big intentions and goals you set into some of the smaller ones, you can make the statement simpler. Because when you have a simple intention statement, it's going to help you remember it and return to it far more. And hence, your actions, your decision making will be more impactful, or impacted, I should say, by that intention, because you have that clarity and you can say it to yourself as many times as you need. It's that difference of saying, I'm going to release my scarcity mindset by doing blank, blank, and blank, and embrace an abundance mindset by doing blank, blank, and blank, because I want to, like, That's really long. You could write that down in your journal, but that's not going to be a clear intention you can repeat to yourself when you need it in those small 1 to 2 minutes of taking a breath, right? So when we're setting intentions, the idea is get that goal clear and then simplify it to an intention you can repeat to yourself as a reminder on your day-to-day. Which brings us to our last piece, the conscious reframe. What are we actually repeating to ourselves? Oftentimes, we set goals from a deficit mindset. And this isn't just as individuals, as organizations, especially I see it in our university settings. We can set goals from a deficit mindset far more often, because when we're gathering data, we're usually seeing what's missing, what's low, what do we need to increase. It's not necessarily about changing the data. The data is what it is. It's about figuring out how do we reframe it so that we can focus on what we want to grow and gain, or what we already have. So this last piece of the challenge of setting intentions is phrasing your intentions in the way of becoming. What I mean by this is think I and my. So rather than saying, my intention is to have an impact, a positive impact on at least 3 students this year, you can rephrase that into an I or my. My impact goes beyond just my office space and reaches students across campus. Maybe it's I am impactful with my students because I care about each one. Whatever that is, it can be just a short, simple statement, but changing it to the I or my rather than trying to have this lengthy statement or a deficit mindset of I'm not doing enough and I want to do better. These are the ways that we start having conscious reframes of our goals and intentions, and that starts trickling down into our day-to-day actions and decisions. So this is a slide you will have as well, right? I'm going to send you all the PDF of this so you can return to it, because this is the challenge I want you to essentially work on before our next session. I'm not giving you homework necessarily, but I am at the same time. I want you to really think about what your intentions look like, or I should say what your intentions have looked like previously, and how you might be able to use this conscious reframe and clarity piece to start setting new ones if necessary, or just update the ones that you've been setting. We're going to be really specific fall semester because we're going to start our next session on Tuesday with these intentions. So think about them. What do you want to set your intentions around for the fall semester? You've already started, so this is a great time to say, okay, I've started. What have I learned about myself? What have I learned about my colleagues, my space, my environment, the students I'm working with? And take that into consideration as you set your intentions here. Oh, next slide. There we go. So as we do it, we're going to finish with a guided meditation today. So I will stop sharing my screen. But before we get into that guided meditation, the intention setting is really the biggest piece of this that I want us to think about. So my question to you all before we get to our guided meditation is, have you had any challenges setting intentions this year as we've already started the fall semester? What might those changes or challenges in setting your intentions have been that you want to shift as we do this little mini assignment before our next session? And Cheryl, can we stop recording on this one? Just have some openness, and then the rest of the year we're good. A mindful reset is an individualized experience that you can do as often and as many times as you need to. It could be weekly, it could be daily, it could be quarterly, or once a year if you don't feel like you need it too much. Every single person needs and experiences a mindful reset differently. So my contact information is here. I'm going to give you these slides, so you'll have the PDF copy. I'll send them to Cheryl and Myra so that you have these slides like ready and on deck. And then I'm also going to send you some additional resources for anybody that's just really interested in different techniques for mindfulness and breathing, in addition to the 3 we did today, that you can do on your own or with your students, with staff, with colleagues, whatever that may look like for you. So before I close these slides and we'll finish with our guided meditation today, just a very quick one. Are there any questions or needs? And you can just unmute yourself if you do. All right. Our guided meditation today is going to be just a quick breathing practice for us to all engage together. If you'd like to keep your camera on, you're welcome to. If you want to turn it off, you can do that. We're going to do this in about 1 to 2 minutes. And then, of course, if you need to tap out, I totally understand. As Cheryl put in the chat, we will have our next session on Tuesday, the 19th. So this coming Tuesday, and it's going to be a great way just for us to continue this conversation and give you some more practical tips of how you start turning these personal reflections into things that you can use with students and colleagues. So let's get into this guided meditation. If it feels good, you can close your eyes. You can turn lights down if you like. Just take a moment to really pause and relax and breathe into the space. As we're here, bring your attention to the breath, letting any other thoughts of distractions, what's coming next, expectations float away. And if they come, if the thoughts become distracting, it's okay. We're human, so we just take a moment to notice it and then let it float away. We are here, alive and breathing, present in this very moment. And we breathe gently. Taking 4 slow breaths to absorb in this moment, we inhale. We exhale. Focusing only on the breath, what each inhale and each exhale feels like. Noticing how the body settles with the breath. Wherever you are, taking one more breath, this one, your slowest and deepest yet. Letting it all go in that exhale. Not only are you capable of every goal you set, of every intention you put before you, but you're also worthy enough and deserving of rest and restful breaks. When you feel ready, you can start moving the body a little bit, just getting some movement back. Returning to that natural breath state. It may be a little quicker than when you're taking those deep breaths. And then gently blink the eyes to bring your attention back. While a very quick, short breathing practice, meditation state, any little bits of mindfulness really benefit us. So with that, I encourage you to take even 2 minutes every single day from here on out, just to be mindful and breathe. And if you need support from your community, not only can you reach out to me, you can reach out to Cheryl, to Myra, to Gabe, to each other, to the folks on this call, and just say, hey, can we do a quick check-in? Sometimes that answer is going to be no, and that's when we practice grace. And sometimes that answer will be yes, and that's when we embrace our community. But however we come together, we also got to give that time to ourselves and back to ourselves to refresh. With that, I thank you all so much for joining me today, and I'm hoping to see you all on Tuesday again. If there's any faces you saw missing today, let them know that they can still come on Tuesday. They can watch this recording and join us real soon. But Cheryl, Myra, and everyone, thank you so much.